Hello everyone, and welcome to our first Tales and Tales Science with Mr. Brian video. Now, our summer reading theme this year is Tales and Tales. So as you can see, Tales is T-A-I-L-S as in animals, and Tales, T-A-L-E-S, as in stories that we read. Now, what we'll be doing this activity today is we're going to be constructing the first of what will be several little plane and glider kits, because the end part or the rear part of a plane is also referred to as the tail. So I thought it'd be fun if we talked about flight. Now, there are four main forces for flight. You need thrust, lift, weight, which is gravity, and drag. And we will be looking at one of those forces in each of our next set of activities. So today we'll look at the first one, which is thrust. Now, before I forget, there will be a link in the description down below that'll take you to the Reader Zone webpage, which is where they'll describe the app, which is where we are having people register for the summer reading program. That is also where you'll be able to record the books that you have read. You will also find some steps on how to go about doing all of that on the children's part of the library's webpage. And I'll leave a link to our webpage down in the description below as well. So, thrust is what keeps the plane moving forward. It helps with the speed of the plane. Now, what we'll be using for our thrust for these activities will, of course, be our hands, because we will be taking the planes and we will be throwing them. Now, our first type of plane that we're going to look at today is probably one that I imagine several of you have used and made plenty of in the past, and that is just the good old paper airplane. Now, my paper airplanes are not just little plain pieces of paper. As you can see here, it has a design with some dotted lines on it. And these dotted lines will be where we will be folding. Now, I will say that while mine looks like this, you can see I've got red and black, some yellow and blue striping and things. This may not be what your plane looks like. There will be other designs, so whatever you end up getting mailed in your kit, I hope that you'll enjoy it, and just follow the steps will be very similar to what I'm going to be doing with this one, but like I said, they may not all necessarily be the same type of plane. Now, some of you may be wondering, okay, which one of these dotted lines do I need to start with? Well, that's what we will find if we turn the paper over on the back. You can see here it has our instructions, and all of our instructions are numbered. So it says here, instructions. Starting at 1, use the dotted line as a guide and fold the paper in the direction of each arrow. Follow the order of the numbers and continue to fold the paper until your plane is formed. And then our last step down here, it says, fly your plane. So, as you can see here on my example plane, here is number 1, and I have an arrow pointing toward the center of the paper. So that means on my dotted line right here, I'm going to need to take that and fold that in. So I'm going to set my paper down, and we will do that. Now again, it doesn't have to be exact. You can just try to be really close. And I'm going to open it up here. See that did a pretty good job staying on my dotted line here at the left part. Down here at the right part, I kind of got a little off of it, but it should still be fine. On the other side of the paper here, you can see my spot number 2. And once again, my arrow is pointing in. So I'm going to fold my 1 back down here. And now I will fold down the 2. And then to check where I was, that one I did a much better job of staying on my dotted line. You can see here, this may look very familiar to some of the types of planes that you have made. When I open these up so I can see where my next fold is, it's like, okay. So, I have a dotted line here, it says 3, and it goes all the way down here toward the bottom part of my paper. So I'm going to leave my 1 and 2 down, and now I'm going to see where my 3 is. And this might be where it'll be a good idea to turn our plane over. You can see the lines on this side a lot better as well, and this gives you a better idea of where you need to fold. So I'm going to do that here with my line for number 3. When you get it close to your dotted line, please remember to try to make a nice crisp fold. You want to press down nice and hard to make sure we have the paper folded there. As you can see there, I have my line folded for number 3. And so I'm going to look here on the back. I can see here's number 4. So this looks like just kind of like how 1 and 2 mirrored each other. 3 and 4 will do the same thing. So again, I'm going to turn my paper over so I can look and see on this side and see where my dotted line is. And again, I'm remembering to press down so I can get a nice crease. Okay, now that means we're up for number 5. Number 5 is here in the center, and it says it wants me to fold it over this way. So that means we're going to be folding the plane in half. You can see here's like 1 engine on this side, 1 engine on that side. So again, I'm folding it up so I can see where my dotted line is. And again, I'm going to make a nice firm crease, making sure that I'm pressing down on all of my plane here. Okay, now I can look inside and see, okay, number 6 looks like we're going to need to fold down because the arrow is pointing to the right. And I bet if we look at number 7, yes, that one's pointing out toward my left. So that one will also need to be folded down, which kind of matches up with what we see with our design here. We can see if we have the body of the plane, we need the wings of the plane now too. So I can see my dotted line here. So I'm going to take that and we're going to fold it down. And I'll turn my plane over and I'll do the last one. Okay. And so these I'm going to fold back up a little bit. That way I will have my wings of the plane. So here is my finished airplane. Now we will test this and we will see how far this one will travel. Some hints I will say to potentially help your plane to travel farther is sometimes you might want to put a little paper clip or something to help hold some things together, cause the wind might catch in there and slow it down a little bit. But we will look and we will see here in just a minute just how well our plane flies. Okay everyone, now before we test out our paper airplane, I want to go through a couple of important safety reminders. Make sure you're not, when you're practicing and testing out your paper airplane or any of the types of planes that we'll be making this summer, please make sure that you are not throwing them at anything that is breakable. Please make sure that you are not throwing them at anyone. We want to be very careful with these, and that will help keep everyone safe. So please remember to be careful and do not aim your paper airplanes or any of our other gliders or planes at anyone or at anything. So, okay, now let's get on with our test flight. Okay everyone, Mr. Brian here, and I've got our paper airplane, and I'm standing here in the library's community room, and this is going to be where I test to see how well the paper airplane flies. Now again, today we're looking at thrust. Now most of the time, like if this was an actual real plane, with the way that we see these little engines on the side, this would be a jet engine plane, and the jet engine would be what would be helping to produce the thrust to move this plane forward. Another very common way that planes will experience thrust and enable them to move forward is, of course, the classic propellers on the older style planes. So I've got our little plane here. I'm holding it together. Now again, determining where you hold the plane will be how well that and how far that your plane will travel. So it'll be fun for you to experiment at home and see, okay, if I hold it near the nose of the plane, the front of the plane, is it going to fly farther than if I hold it near the tail of the plane? Now, for my test today, I'm going to hold it pretty much kind of near the middle, and we'll see what happens. You know, I'm hoping that this is going to fly and end up hopefully hitting the wall over there. Now I'm not going to throw it too hard because I don't want to dent the nose of my plane. So we're just going to gently throw. So I'll take my plane off camera here, and we'll test it out here in 3, 2, 1. So you see there, kind of did a corkscrew curl as it fell to the floor. Now again, anything that's a true and valid science experiment, you should be able to repeat it and get the same results. So here we'll go again. I'll just be slightly off camera in 3, 2, 1. Well, that one flew as well. So since it flew, I would count that as a success. I hope you guys have successful flights with your planes, and I hope you've enjoyed making your designs. Please tag us on Instagram and send us pictures of what your planes look like. I'll put hashtag here on the screen for you to use, because we would certainly love to see them. And I will see you guys in the next video.